Welcome back to the Two Marks and Spark Wrestling Podcast. Happy Sunday, everybody. Ben here with Uncle Russ. As always, we are going to talk about a lot this week. Number one being I moved. That's why the show's late. I had the worst time moving. I had about as much of a nightmare move as you could have. We've tried to record this show 3 different times, and every time something's gotten in our way. Yesterday, my desk collapsed, so that was fun. All right. Russ, let's
Well,
talk.
I'm glad you're where you're supposed to be and you finally got there, and
And my desk.
hopefully you'll be able to get unpacked before too long.
Well, I'm already about halfway there. About half my stuff's unpacked already. But let's talk about some wrestling. First of all, Russ, how was your week?
I had a pretty good week. Saw a lot of good wrestling too. Some not so great, but there was a lot of great stuff that happened this week.
Well, something not so great. Well, I guess it could be great depending on who you ask. But if you ask the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega, it's probably not great. I guess CM Punk might actually be coming back after all.
That's what I heard.
What the hell is going on?
You never know for sure.
Rumors started surfacing this week that CM Punk may be coming. Now, it's worth noting that this is purely just a rumor, that this has not been reported anywhere. But a couple of AEW talent have already come out and said that they want him back. He posted that weird video on Instagram where it was talking about forgiveness. I was like, is he coming back?
You just never know with him for sure, you know. I mean, he's such an amazing performer. He's really moved me both ways in the course of his career to where I absolutely loved everything he was doing, hanging on every word. To I have the times when I was so disgusted with him, I wanted to reach through the screen and slap him. Anybody that can generate that range of emotion is a powerful performer. And for good or for bad, he brings a lot of reality into everything he does.
Right, but here's the thing: you can't be punching other guys in the face, in the back. You can't be starting brawls. You can't say what he said in a press conference and just
that press conference was unbelievable. I can't believe that his boss sat there and just took it.
Well, here's the thing. It wouldn't surprise me if it was in his contract to do something like that he could just say whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me. Speaking of didn't shock me, let's talk about this stupid Raw show that I didn't like.
Yeah, let's talk about Raw.
So I want to make a note here. I didn't actually get to see like all of Raw because my DVR effed up, so I had to watch it on Hulu. So I missed like a good 45 minutes worth of stuff because Hulu cuts it like crap out. I don't know what it cut out. I went back and found what I
saw the Cody and Paul Heyman segment.
Oh, I saw that multiple times.
Yes, me too. I rewatched it several times, played it for my wife. That was actually worth the price of admission. It made up for all the rest of the crap on the show. That was amazing, but we'll get to that.
If you can't tell, this show sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
This show was bad, okay? It didn't start that bad. It actually started kind of good. We had Edge and Beth Phoenix in the ring. These two are great.
Yeah.
Everything Edge touches turns to literal gold. I don't remember the last thing Edge did that was bad. Well, his feud with Randy Orton was not great, but I don't think that was his fault. We got this video package and Edge is fired up, Beth Phoenix is fired up.
Right.
And they go on and on about how much the Judgment Day pisses them off as my phone rings, and I'm going to tell them I'll call them back.
And then the Judgment Day comes out and joins them. And boy, verbally, it was kind of it was interesting, They got Damian Priest got a little tongue tied.
Well, that was funny, and the way he played it off was perfect. Him and Edge played that off perfectly. They made it look like it was supposed to be there. It wasn't.
They had to ad lib, but they did do a pretty good job of covering it up, But once again, I think that's the danger you run with scripted promos, is that not everybody is a trained actor.
No, not everybody's a trained actor, and not everybody can just memorize everything like that. I thought this whole thing was kind of silly. Uh,
And we get what you predicted. You predicted that we would get a mixed tag match with
I would have preferred Ripley versus Phoenix alone.
oh,
Uh,
I would too. That would be an interesting match,
we're
but
not getting that. We might get that at some point, but we're not getting that here. Okay, hear me out. If Ripley wins the title at WrestleMania, which if she doesn't, what are we doing? What's the point?
right.
Uh, if she does that, you could have Beth and her at Backlash, or I don't know if you do that at Backlash. Maybe, God forbid, they do it in Saudi Arabia, but
Oh God.
I hope they don't do that.
Well, I wish they wouldn't even go to Saudi Arabia, but that's already a done deal. I'm sure the money's probably already changed hands.
So by the end of this promo segment, everything has gone to hell. The Day start beating the shit out of Edge. The Street Profits come out. Everybody's
Yes.
killing each other. Worth noting, Rhea Ripley was not on any of the shows this week.
Right. Apparently was doing promotional work.
I don't know if that was true or if she
That
just,
was the story.
that's what we were told. Speaking of what we were told, Adam Pearce comes out and throws everyone out of ringside because he says the same thing I do. There's too many people out here.
Yeah, there was too many people. And then we finally get into our first match.
Priest versus Dawkins, which might have been the only good match on this show. But
It wasn't too bad.
other than the main event, which was good, but there was a theme in all three shows that we are reviewing here have a theme. Shitty finishes. There's a theme here. I'm noticing it. Shit finish. So this match goes 12 minutes. Priest wins. No surprises here. Wins with the South of Heaven. This was a good match. I mean,
Right. We'll be a part of the Elimination Chamber.
6 days from the day this goes up and the day we're recording it because we're doing this all the same day this week.
Right.
I one thing I don't understand, and I understand why Priest is in the chamber. Don't get me wrong, I get it, but I would have preferred to see Dawkins in there if it was between these two, just because I like Dawkins a lot.
I like him too. And
Uh,
I think they're a good tag team. It would have been nice to see both tag team members in there.
then Austin Theory shows up. This,
Sure.
I don't get it with this guy. This guy is this gimmick doesn't work. Okay,
Been done.
big fat dud. Did I miss anything in between this and the Brock and Bobby thing?
Dawkins and Priest. Uh, Baron Corbin with
Oh,
JBL. That was
joy.
the next matchup versus Dexter Loomis.
Oh, I think I saw this happen. So this was a
Dexter
bad.
Loomis defeated Baron Corbin, who's on a losing streak.
I assume this match sucked.
Yeah, yes, it pretty much did. And there was a segment later, which you may or may not have seen.
Well, here's
JBL.
the thing. Like I said, my DVR messed up because I record Raw every week. I record all
Right,
three shows every week. So, when I'm moving, I can't exactly, if I can't watch the show live, I can watch
right.
it back.
Yeah.
Well, my DVR messed up and it didn't record the entire first hour of Raw.
Okay.
It recorded the other 2 hours. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch this on Hulu because this is silly.
Well, you missed another little segment with Chelsea Green and Anna Pierce with her complaining about
I'm
her
really liking
accommodating.
what they're doing with that. I saw what they did on SmackDown. I'm really liking what they're doing with that.
Yeah, she was
Um,
on both shows this week.
I think
Had a
she's gonna be
match
on
on both
SmackDown.
shows.
I I think the plan is that Chelsea's gonna be on SmackDown for now. Um, because it doesn't make sense for her to be bouncing back and forth like this. My thinking is she'll probably end up on SmackDown full time, but you know, anything can happen. She could end up on NXT next week, and I wouldn't be that surprised. Uh, we get my favorite segment, maybe of all time, between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
Brock Lesnar.
The Brock was so funny here.
Yes, and
Brock
whoever
is
would have
hilarious.
guessed that he would be able to talk as well as he does, and as a babyface, nonetheless. I never saw that coming, but
Well, the
it's been a
funniest
lot of
part
fun.
was the
It's been a
funniest
lot
part
of fun.
this was halfway a heel promo.
Exactly. I
Uh,
mean, he still beats the shit out of everybody, but the crowd loves him.
he is a babyface with an anger issue.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what Brock Lesnar is now. He is a babyface with a very serious anger problem. Um, and he comes out, he asks the crowd if they enjoyed the Royal Rumble. He says he didn't. He thought it
Yeah.
sucked. You
Yeah.
know, outside of the main event, I don't know how far-fetched that is. Uh
But it's interesting, this rivalry between him and Lashley. We've seen them wrestle before. I think it'll be a good match.
why are we doing this at the chamber? That's what I
Yeah,
want to know.
at the Elimination Chamber
Why
coming
are we
up.
doing this there? Does Brock understand that this show isn't in Saudi Arabia? I don't think so.
Right.
Because the joke with Brock has always been he only wrestles SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and Saudi Arabia. So
Right.
does Brock just not understand this show's not in Saudi Arabia? Like,
Well, you can't blame the guy. He doesn't wrestle that often. He gets a big, big payday. A nice gig if he can get it.
I mean, here's the thing. Am I complaining that I get to watch Brock Lesnar wrestle next week? No, I'm not complaining about that. I just don't understand why he's on this show.
Right.
Now, I don't know what their plan is for him at Mania. My assumption would be Gunther, but I don't think so because Gunther is apparently going to be in a three-way with Sheamus and Drew.
Okay.
I don't know what you could do with Brock. Unless you're going to, and I don't want this, unless they're going to do like a four-way with him, Sammy, and Roman and Cody, which would just be a mess. And I don't even know how you get there.
Most fatal four-ways are a bit of a mess.
I mean, I could be talked into a triple threat with Sammy, Cody, and Roman. I could be talked into that. But a four-way where you throw Brock in there,
They'll find something for him to do.
What? Who could he feud with? Everybody's kind of got a dance partner already. I mean, unless they're gonna do some schmaz at the chamber where Brock and Bobby aren't actually gonna have the match and it's gonna wait for Mania, which I could see them doing.
Or they could have a wonky finish that would leave unresolved issues and then try to stretch that out to WrestleMania.
I mean, the easiest way to do it would be a double pin, right? Where they pin each other.
Sure.
German suplex, both pairs of shoulders are down. They count to three.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
how
been done a million times, but it might work.
But, well, here's the thing. Bobby could work Austin Theory at WrestleMania. He could do that. He could work whoever he wants at WrestleMania. Bobby could work a broomstick and probably make it entertaining. Although I think he might be working MVP. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. These are two guys that just don't have like a clear thing for Mania right now. And I think they're both going to end up being on the card. So
yeah. I enjoy watching them both.
I don't know. I think it'll be a good match. Then we get Carmella, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, and Piper Niven. For those of you that watched the show last week, you remember how I said that it was the most blasé four-way you've ever seen on SmackDown last week.
You also predicted that Carmella would win.
No, I didn't predict Carmella would win. I said I hope Piper wins, but they're probably going to do something dumb and put Carmella over. And
oh yes, yeah, right.
That's exactly what they did.
Exactly.
Carmella wins.
I agree with you. I think Piper Niven's a great worker. Apparently, they got plans for her to be healing on the other ones.
My question is, you had three really good wrestlers in this match in Carmella.
Right.
Why did you pick the bad one?
I guess she's over with the crowd.
No,
They,
she's not. They didn't care.
the announcers like to salivate over her about how beautiful she is.
Well, Graves is married to her, so
Well, he's a little bit biased then, isn't he?
yes, apparently. So next thing we got was Shelton and Cedric against Alpha Academy. I saw part of this.
Yes. It was a throwaway match from two decent teams. It's
That's what I got from it.
Shelton Benjamin has always been badly used, such a great talent. I mean, he's been around for a long time, but I don't feel like he's ever in the booking. He's never really gotten his due.
I mean, in ROH, he was great. He was a lot better there, booked there than he is here. But
Cedric Alexander was great in Ring of Honor also with, what was it, Caprice Coleman?
yeah, remember when Caprice used to wrestle for like 5 years before he kind of stopped?
Yeah.
I don't blame him for stopping. I probably would have too. But uh here's the thing. There was a lot of throwaway stuff on this show, and I'm kind of glad I watched it on Hulu because the version on Hulu is only like 90 minutes
Speeds right through. I've seen that before. Yeah.
instead of 3 hours, and you're like, wow. And you don't feel like you missed anything because everything they take out is the crap you don't want to watch anyway.
Right. Well, then we get a recap of the incident last week with The Miz and Rick Boogs.
Who gives a shit?
Exactly. But apparently, we're next week we're going to get Rick Boogs versus The Miz on
Again?
Raw. And Rick Boogs, I don't know what his gimmick is. He acts this act kind of
He's a
nuts.
rock star. I think that's his gimmick.
Yeah, but he's kind of crazy like the Ultimate Warrior. He reminds me a little bit of that. That's not a compliment.
No, no, it's not. Then I read, I don't know this. Did we get Asuka and Chelsea on this
Yes,
show? Did that
yes,
happen?
we
Okay.
did. And Asuka won. Asuka's really over with the crowd.
Well, yeah, because Asuka's great. You wouldn't believe it, but Asuka's actually 40 something.
Yeah,
You
she's
would
been
not
doing
believe
this
that
for a
by
while
looking at her.
too. And it's good to see her back. And I hope that she gets a push. Chelsea Green is getting a push too, but she's not getting any wins.
Um, that's gonna change. I'd have to think. I want to save the Cody segment for the end. I know that's what's next, but I do want to save that for the end because I want to talk about that extensively. Um, the I'm not making this up. The main event on this show was Montez Ford versus Elias. The main Well, no, that wasn't the main event. I'm sorry. I completely forgot
Cage
the Steve.
match.
I
No
forgot the
cage
cage.
match.
Okay, so in my notes,
Yes.
I was scrolling and my scroll wheel just stopped for a second and I was like, wait, this was the main event, just not remembering there was a cage match. Montez Ford defeated Elias in what I can best describe as a 10.5 minute match that existed, and it was fine and it wasn't anything special. Ford is great. Montez Ford is fantastic. Elias is not. Um, Ford won. Thank God.
So there we've got Austin Theory in the chamber defending the U.S. Championship. We've got Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Montez Ford. I predict Seth Rollins will win.
I don't think so.
Who do you predict?
The only if it wasn't for the fact that I think Seth is facing Logan Paul at WrestleMania, Seth would win. I could honestly see them giving it to Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
Or if Theory's actually working Cena at WrestleMania, if that's actually happening, I know that's the plan or the rumored plan, and they've discussed that. But if John is going to be there, I mean, Theory versus John for the US title would be great. But my concern with that is John going to be able to be on TV to build it?
Yeah.
Like, oh boy. So
I really like Bronson Reed, but I don't think he's going to be the one they pick to push.
I mean, here's the thing. They're pushing Theory, but I don't know how long that's going to last. And here's why. Because I think, and you've kind of seen it since Hunters took over creative, it seems like they're kind of falling out of love with Austin Theory. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Like, yeah, he's got the US title. But the reason he's got the US title is because they don't want to just beat him for it and have it be a nothing thing. They want to make the US title matter, which is probably why he still has it.
Yeah.
Not because he's important, but because they don't know who they want to beat him yet to actually do something with the belt. That's my opinion. Now, could it actually be that they like Theory? Yeah, but you can kind of see from the booking that it doesn't seem like they're completely in love with this guy anymore. They were. It doesn't seem like they are now. Now, could I be wrong on
Well,
that?
I think they cooled off on him a little bit since the departure of Vince McMahon.
Well, yeah, they've cooled off on him, but it's like I said, I understand why they don't want to take the US title off him. Because it looks bad to just have him lose it on a random episode of Raw and it doesn't matter and he loses it to Elias or whatever. I mean, that would be terrible. But like could have had Bobby Lashley beat him. Hell, have
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar go out there and squash him in 2 minutes. Whatever.
Yeah.
But then who beats Brock? You have that problem. So
It's got to look credible.
we have the main event. This match was really good, but Schmaz finish again.
Right.
Becky Lynch and Bayley in a steel cage. This match was great until the interference started.
And then we had a surprise return by
Lita is back. I don't know
Lita.
why. Where was she a week ago?
I don't know.
Where was she at the Royal Rumble? Where was she at Raw 30? Would Lita not have come in handy 2 weeks ago at Raw 30 when Becky Lynch was getting the shit beat out of her by Damage Control?
Exactly. But she comes in and counters Damage Control and helps Becky.
I would have to guess that we're probably
Bayley.
getting Bayley versus Lita at WrestleMania. I would guess that's the plan.
Oh, yeah.
That or Bayley versus Becky. I mean, Lita is clearly back for now. I don't think this was a one-off. I think Lita is back for a while. Probably to WrestleMania, here and there on Raw, whatever. She doesn't have to wrestle. You know, you can just have her and Bayley talk people into the building because that's exactly what they'll do.
I speculated about an interesting mix of personalities backstage with Beth Phoenix and Edge and her. The only thing that could make it more awkward is if Matt Hardy showed up.
Oh, God.
I mean, they got so many X's and everything there.
Imagine a show, right? And it'd have to be like a Forbidden Door type deal.
Yes.
Where it's Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Matt Hardy and Lita.
Yeah.
They might actually start potatoing each other. Like,
right.
Oh boy. Okay. So
all right.
Let's talk about this Cody promo.
Let's talk about this promo. This was I watched this several times. I felt like this was amazing.
This was flawless.
This is the kind of thing that I think that Cody maybe could have wanted to do in AEW, but he didn't have anybody that could do him with him. This was amazing. You notice the crowd reaction? This went on for about 15 minutes. The crowd was not restless. They were not bored. They weren't chanting, what?
And for everybody that was worried about this crowd turning on Cody because of the whole Sammy thing, forget about it. This promo fixed that problem.
It was really, really well done. And it was based on reality. There was so much feeling brought into it. And Cody is doing the great promos, and then Paul Heyman is always one of the greatest talkers ever in the history of wrestling.
I don't know that this was his best promo ever since he's been back. I think the night after he came back was really a hard promo to beat. But I think this might have been better just because Paul Heyman was there. Um, him and Heyman have great chemistry. We're gonna get this again. I guarantee it. Before Mania.
It was really awesome to
And
see.
I think you could put these two in the ring for 3 hours and they could legitimately put on a show and legitimately make it entertaining. Um, they talked people into the building with this promo in terms of this Roman. They got people that probably didn't want to see Roman and Cody that now want to see Roman and Cody.
Yeah.
Or Cody and Paul Heyman, depending on.
Well, he started off, he gave Sami Zayn his due.
I
So
wonder if we're
that,
gonna get like a Cody and Sammy thing, where it's like Cody and Sammy against the Usos.
I think he just had to do that just to go along with the storyline that,
Well,
Sammy's got the first title shot.
here's my prediction. Here's what I think's gonna happen, right? First of all, Sammy's gonna lose next week. Like, let's get that over with. Like, Sammy's not winning the Universal title. That is not happening. Or if he is, he's not doing it next week.
Yeah.
um, Second of all, Roman Reigns is probably going to lose the belt at WrestleMania. One or both of them. I would bet on both.
I think it'd be the right time for it.
And I don't know right now because things can change. I don't know if it will be to Cody Rhodes or if it will be to Sami Zayn because there's a very real possibility that this ends up being a three-way, in my opinion. Do I think that's what it's going to be right now? No, but I acknowledge the possibility of that. Just because Sammy is so red hot and they could Daniel Bryan him into this main event. Do I think they should? No. I think they should let this thing go. I think you got two of the best workers right now, and Cody and Roman getting ready to work a big match main event. I don't think you need Sami Zayn in there. Would he add something? Absolutely, but I don't think you need it when the story's already there for Cody and Roman and they laid it
It's a
out.
compelling story. It's one I want to keep following, and I hope they don't mess it up. And I doubt that they will because you've got two guys that are not only great workers, but Roman and Cody can do their own promos. They don't have to have scripted promos. They
Well,
speak
and
from the heart and they bring enough reality and real feeling into what they say that people are engaged. People are enthralled by what they're doing. And it's some of the best mic work that we've heard in pro wrestling in years.
here's the
Out of these
thing.
two guys.
And it reminds me a lot of when Paul was with CM Punk. Paul doesn't have to talk for Roman. The only time Paul talks for Roman is when Roman's not there. Roman wasn't there this week. So,
Yeah.
this was fantastic. This show sucked. Even the hour and a half version on Hulu dragged. Let's take a moment and pause and talk about another show here on Lock 22, Uncle Russ's Comic Show.
Yes. Look for it on Lock 22 Productions on YouTube. Comic books for sale on Lock 22 Sellers on eBay. We also talk about comic book collecting. I like to show off some of the goodies from my own collection. It's a lot of fun. Uncle Russ's Comic Top.
Well, something else that was a lot of fun. Let's talk about this goofy AEW show that I thought was all over the place.
El Paso, Texas.
This crowd was great. I thought this show was all over the place, though. I did not feel like this show was very cohesive.
Apparently, this is the first time we've seen MJF wrestle this year.
That doesn't surprise me.
And interesting match.
He had, okay, Konosuke Takeshita and MJF had one of the best television matches I've ever seen. These two killed it, and they didn't go to picture in picture. They didn't go to commercial. They stuck with this thing, and it was great.
It was a really good match. These guys could really go.
And I don't know what their plan is for Takeshita. I don't. But if it's not to work Kenny Omega at some point, that is a mistake. And I understand that Kenny's got his trios title thing. And we'll talk about some of the booking on this show, which I thought was just frankly abhorrent, especially in the main event. But this was great. MJF gets the win with the salt of the earth. This
Right.
match was excellent.
And he was great. I mean, he was a sneaky, low down, cowardly heel, the way he's supposed to be, the way we love him, biting, you know, taking shortcuts.
It was everything you like about MJF and everything you like about Konosuke Takeshita just tied right up together. Then we get a match that I believe was shortened by injury. Jamie Hayter against the Bunny. I think they had to call this match off because of an injury. An exploder, when Bunny took the second exploder, Bunny came up bad, and I think because they went to commercial and then the match only went for what, another 25 seconds or so before
Right.
they called the finish. So I think they called this match off. I hope the Bunny's all right.
Right.
She is a good worker. So, and not only that, you obviously never want to see somebody get hurt. So I just hope she's all right.
Jamie Hayter's obviously very, very over with the crowd.
And she's great. This match, of what we got of it, was really good. Of what there was here, it was really good.
Right. And I got to see Rebel. I hate to sound like an old horn dog, but every time I get to look at her, I'm happy. I know she wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but I like looking at her.
They've got Jamie Hayter now. Rebel don't have to wrestle no more. That's the nice thing.
She can just show up and be part of the entourage.
Then we get Renee Paquette backstage with Tony Storm and Saraya. I don't know what they're doing with these two.
I'm not into it. I'm not engaged in this story.
I mean, Tony Storm's really over, and so is Saraya. But I don't know what they're doing here.
Well, they're spray painting people like the NWO.
I assure you, these two are not the NWO.
No.
Saraya's pretty good on the mic, and she's really good in the ring. Tony Storm is great. But I don't know what they're doing here. And poor Leva Bates just got the shit kicked out of her.
And this heel turn for Saraya,
it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why is Saraya a heel?
It came back quite clear out of left field with no buildup. It didn't seem logical. There was no sense to it. So I don't know where they're going with it. But
last week, me and you thought she was a babyface. We weren't sure what she was. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if she goes out there next week and cuts a babyface promo again. Do you know why?
Why?
Because this show doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Well, look who's writing it.
Oh, don't. Oh, Jesus. All right. Then we get more MJF. Thank God.
Yes.
Save this show, please.
This promo that he had, I'm the scum of the earth and I'm proud of it,
The greatest promo.
It's amazing, and it shows the lengths to which he's willing to go to get real heat from the crowd,
Did we get two promos?
Even the people that cheer the bad guys, you could hear almost like an audible gasp from the audience.
Here's the thing. This week was so great because we got two promo of the year candidates. Cody on Monday, MJF on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's insane. But this promo was great. He describes why he's the salt of the earth. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's the full thing's on AEW's YouTube channel. If you were watching this, I encourage you to go check it out. Next, we got
Interesting too that he chose to use the name Liv.
I thought that was funny.
I thought that was hilarious too.
I was like, what are you doing?
Now, well, he's always messing around dropping WWE names, and that's part of his shtick, you know.
I was like, are you trying to get sued? What are you doing?
He acts like he doesn't care, but I think that's part of his gimmick, you know.
Then we got something so stupid it was funny. The Garcia Guevara gauntlet match with Starks. This sucked.
Oh, it was horrible.
Roll ups and schmaz finish, and
it was horrible, and you know,
and we didn't even get the payoff. We didn't even get the payoff.
No, it was a complete waste of time. The Jericho Appreciation Society is a complete waste of time. There's nothing going on there that I care about.
But here's the thing: you could care if they booked it better.
Right, but they're just not, and it's sad because Jericho, you know, used to be one of the greatest performers in the business. What he's been doing the last couple of years in AEW is embarrassing.
He's still great on the mic. I will say that. He never lost that. Then we got the poor acclaimed backstage, and you'll understand why I say the poor acclaimed here in a little bit. This was a bad show. This was a bad acclaimed show.
Oh, it was.
This was not the week to be a fan of the acclaimed. I'll just say that. Billy Gunn staying in the back for the main event. That doesn't really matter. We'll get to why later, because this show is just ridiculous. Then we get Renee Paquette in the trainer's room with Takeshita and Danielson. Yes. Rush's music hits, and Jose locks Danielson in the trainer's room.
Right.
This was genius.
The ring.
And I want to point out, Renee Paquette sold the shit out of this.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, what the hell?
Right.
She's great. Anyway.
So then we get MJF telling Aubrey Edwards to start the count.
Like degrading Aubrey Edwards while telling her to count, and Aubrey just looks like she wants to smack him.
Yeah, which would have been great.
I mean, they should have done that. I understand why they didn't, but they should have. I mean, Danielson and Rush. Danielson has to break out of the back. He breaks the door off its hinges. I would assume they loosened it first.
And Bryan Danielson, he gives juice a lot, but he really did in this match.
But here's the thing.
But there was blood splatter on the camera lens.
But here's the thing. It worked for this match especially.
Well, hey, you know, if there's blood splatter on the camera lens, I can't help but think about the people in the front row. You know, haven't these people ever heard of bloodborne pathogens? You know, it is something to consider, you know, because you could potentially get sued over something like that.
But Danielson and Rush have just an absolute knockdown, drag them out war.
It was great.
This was a great match. Danielson gets the win. And we're getting a match. We're getting a 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution between MJF and Bryan Danielson.
I'm looking forward to that.
That might be worth the price of the pay-per-view on its own.
Right.
You could just do that match alone, and I'd probably buy it.
Yeah. That's, you know, Bryan Danielson is the veteran, and here we've got MJF, who's I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be great.
That is a pay-per-view main event of the highest caliber. That is going to be great, and the buy rate's going to be really high because it's Bryan Danielson.
Yes. And every time he steps
Has he main evented a pay-per-view yet? I don't think he has.
What's that?
Has he main evented a pay-per-view at all since he's been there? I don't think he has.
Maybe, but I can't remember.
He's had like big matches on pay-per-views, but I don't think he's ever main evented.
Yeah, coming up March 5th, I believe. Yep.
Yep, March 5th. We're going to cover that,
Yes. Looking forward to it.
of course.
And Roosh, like I said, I like him better all the time.
Roosh is great, and the more you see him wrestle, the more you like him. This was also like his first loss since he's been there, I think.
But yet he looked good in the match. He lost, but he didn't get buried at all, not by any means.
You know what didn't look good? Tony Schiavone backstage with these two losers from Impractical Jokers.
Oh my God. Well, these cross promotional things they're doing with TBS, it's
I thought WWE with their sponsored crap was bad. This was worse.
that was. And that I used to watch that show. It was funny the first couple seasons, but I'm surprised it's still around. They've done stuff with wrestling before. The one guy there, got beat up by Tommy Dreamer a couple years ago. But it's just stupid. It's embarrassing. It's everybody involved look like an idiot.
We're gonna move on. The Elite
Yes,
versus AR Fox and Top Flight. I
Yes.
love 4 out of the 6 guys here. I do not like the Bucks, but I do like AR Fox. I love Top Flight, and I really like Kenny. This was a really good match, but
For a trios match, it was all right.
but you expect that from these 6 guys. You do not think when you hear the Elite versus AR Fox and Top Flight that this match is going to suck. That is not what you're thinking. So it's a good match. And the Elite won because that was the right choice.
Top Flight, though. Both of them are good workers.
And as is AR Fox. Then we got Lexi Nair, who I swear to God, she is the worst backstage interviewer on any of these shows. She's there with Stokely, who promises there's no issues on the firm and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, looks like we're getting a feud between Hook and the firm.
Right.
I don't think anybody particularly cares other than the fact that it's Hook. Speaking of something that nobody cares about, well, a lot of people care about this, but they don't care about what happened here. Well, they do, but not in a positive way. We get the Guns versus the Acclaimed, and what was, I thought coming into the week, the most predictable match, and they did the stupidest thing possible.
I was stunned. I remember when we talked about this last week, we were both like, there is no way that the Guns are going to win the tag team titles. No
I'm
way.
so glad we didn't put money on that.
Yeah, because we would have lost. I mean, and it makes no sense. And the crowd, boy, it took the crowd out. The crowd was pissed.
Oh.
They were chanting bullshit.
I don't get it.
What are they going to do with the Guns?
I don't know because they can't work. They're not good.
They're not ready for prime time.
Are they over at all? I don't
Not
think
that I know of. They're just not ready for it. They're not main event wrestlers at this point.
Okay. Since AEW started in 2019, I think this is the worst booking decision that they've ever made, and it's not close.
And there's been a lot of bad ones. Yeah, you might be right about that.
No, I'm not saying there's not been any bad booking. I'm saying that this is the worst of it. I think the way they're booking Joe right now is pretty bad. I think the way they're booking Darby right now is pretty bad. But what they did here was the stupidest thing you could have done. And I know what everybody's going to say. Oh, well, they have to do a title change on TV every once in a while. They just did one not 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or it was a week ago. It was last week.
This makes no sense to me at all. I was surprised they did it, but then again,
No, I'm stunned. I knew that there was a chance because usually the problem in Tony's booking is the storytelling, not so much who wins and loses. That's the majority of the issue with Tony's booking is the storytelling aspect. But this is just a bad decision. This is
Yeah,
just stupid.
really.
And
And the crowd's reaction was very telling,
and I don't know if and you know what? They could fix this whole thing in a month and the acclaimed could win the titles back. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're smart enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they were thinking on this show because
Oh boy.
everything before this main event was great. This show was great outside of that match.
Yeah.
And
This
not
show just went
only
out with a
was the
whimper.
booking
That was for
stupid,
sure.
not only was the booking stupid, but I think this is the worst acclaimed match I've ever seen.
Well,
And these guys had no chemistry. They didn't know what they were doing. And I've seen this match before. Remember they did that dumpster match or whatever, and that also sucked. I don't know. Can we stop talking about this match now?
yeah, let's do.
Good Lord. Speaking of things I don't want to talk about, actually, you know what? This SmackDown show, in comparison to the end of AEW, was excellent. And it wasn't that great of an episode of SmackDown.
Yeah, it was all right.
We get the best thing on this show right away, which is Paul Heyman in the middle of the ring, holding the belts. I thought this was great. Sammy cuts him off. This whole thing was great. Not great, however. Drew and Sheamus against Hit Row.
Ruin Sheamus against.
Hit Row. This match went 3 minutes. It sucked.
Top Dollar and Adonis, I guess.
Yeah. This was not good. But we do get finally, now we know, and it's going to be next week on SmackDown. Next week's SmackDown is really loaded, by the way. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Next week's SmackDown card is like really loaded.
We're going to finally get them against the Vikings.
War Machine, yeah.
Yeah, War Machine. I like to call him War Machine.
I'm still calling him War Machine. I don't care.
Yep.
And then we get Lacey Evans in a squash match. Man, this poor girl, Lacey Evans, could not get over, can she?
No, she can't, and she's making the Marine Corps look bad by association.
Man, if she could get over, it'd be fine. But
I mean, they've tried. How many different gimmicks have they tried with her?
I don't even think it's her. I think it's partly the booking. I think she needs a mouthpiece. I think she needs somebody who can talk for her. And Sergeant Slaughter would be perfect for that, but I don't think he'd do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I honestly, I'd slap Sergeant Slaughter with her for 6 weeks and see what happens.
They got nothing to lose.
Because literally, you have nothing to lose. What's it gonna do? Piss Sergeant Slaughter off? Oh well, not like you don't do that enough. Anyway, we go to the back. Jimmy is trying to call Jay, can't get a hold of him.
Right.
Heyman's there, noting that and I quote, psychopathic Canadian. This was great. Was after him, and Jimmy wasn't there. Jimmy was trying to find Jay. Apparently, Solo Sikoa was not on the show, or he wasn't there.
I thought it was funny. He saw Paul Heyman. Why don't you come out and defend the titles with me?
Well, that's not what happened. But first,
Right.
we get the funniest segment on this show, which was Sonya in the back with Adam Pearce, and then she's mad she's not in the chamber. And then Chelsea shows up, and then we get a tag match between Chelsea, Sonya, Liv, and Raquel later. This was hilarious. All of this. Adam Pearce is great.
Yeah.
You know what wasn't like particularly great. The Usos versus Ricochet and Braun Strowman.
Right.
It was fine. I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't bad. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I
And
didn't
then
dis
Jay, he shows up, comes through the crowd at the last possible minute.
I thought that was
Yeah.
appropriate though. How
Yeah.
weird would it have looked if he'd have just come out with his brother like nothing
I'm
ever
just not
happened?
that sold on Braun Strowman and Ricochet as a tag team.
I hope this is the end of that. Can this be the end of Ricochet and Braun Strowman? Please?
Yes. It could be. Yeah.
Like,
Probably not, but it could be.
I love Ricochet and I'm glad he's on TV. But my God, can we be done with this?
Anyway, the Usos retain the titles, which is the only thing they could have done.
Now,
Makes
wouldn't it have been
sense.
fitting this week of all weeks if Ricochet and Braun Strowman would have won the damn tag titles?
It would have been as bad as the Guns defeating the Acclaimed.
I think I would have gotten angrier at this if this match would have gone the other way because like the bloodline has been so well booked. They're the best thing in wrestling. I think I would have been angrier at that. Then we get Ray backstage. He's talking about the four-way and how he's going to win.
Wishful thinking.
That match had a weird finish.
Yes.
Then we go to break, come back. Usos are walking backstage. Jay said he'd always have Jimmy's back, so on and so forth. And he's not sure. Jay also mentioned that he is not sure if he's back in the bloodline or that he wants to be. What? Why are they doing this? Why are they dragging this out? I mean, I get why they're dragging it out, but why are we dragging it out?
Well, I guess we'll get the next chapter here on Saturday.
I'm guessing it'll be an Elimination Chamber.
Probably.
Then we get a very stupid segment with
Talking about
Natalia
Natalia.
in the ring. She starts cutting a promo on Shayna. Shayna comes out, starts cutting a promo on her. And then we get the return of Ronda Rousey, which I don't think anybody asked for.
Nope. I didn't ask for it. Then we get the swerve. They both start double teaming on Natalia.
For a second, I thought we were getting Ronda versus Shayna at WrestleMania, and I was getting very excited. And then they did the usual thing and made me sad again. Anyway, this sucked. What didn't suck, we go to the parking lot. Jey Uso, who had walked away from his brother and is now back in the parking lot. Sammy's standing there waiting for him.
Right.
And basically says that he acknowledges Jay as the tribal chief. That's going to get interesting now, isn't it?
Yes.
That's an interesting direction. Didn't see that coming. I like it though.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Jay's the guy stuck in the middle, and we just don't know 100%. He's under all this pressure. What's he going to do?
But it's like any family situation, right? There's always somebody that's going to get caught in the middle, and they've done that very well here. Speaking of done very well, LA Knight's cutting a promo backstage, and he basically says exactly what I say when somebody asks me how the Pitch Black match was. He's like, no, we're not talking about that.
I don't blame him. He probably wishes it would never be mentioned again.
He's like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the future. And he does his, and the future is LA Knight. You get the point. And then he does his, yeah. And then he walks by.
Yeah. I hope he can go, move on from that. And the stench of that match will not stick to him too long.
There was no Bray Wyatt on this show. Not even a video package.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank God. Anyway, we got Raquel and Liv against Sonya and Chelsea. This was really short, but I enjoyed it.
Yes, I really like Raquel Rodriguez. I'm impressed with her the more and more I see her.
Liv is great.
I thought Sonya Deville was a great wrestler.
Liv has been great for what, the last 2 years now?
Yeah.
She wasn't great when she started, but she's great now. Uh,
And then it ends up with Raquel and Liv winning over Chelsea Green and Sonya. So 2 matches with Chelsea Green this week, hasn't gotten a win yet.
they need to start doing something with her. I get why they're not right now because of Mania going on, but I don't know. Then we get Madcap Moss backstage with Emma. Did you know these two are actually dating in real life? I didn't know that.
I had read that, yeah.
Well, apparently, Tennille Dashwood or Emma or whatever you want to call her has confirmed it. So whatever.
Madcap Moss, who I don't know a whole lot about,
I mean, he's
Minnesota
a good
guy.
worker,
Yeah,
but his name is stupid. Speaking of stupid, we get this stupid interview segment with Charlotte Flair and Michael Cole. What the hell was this?
it was pointless.
I would have preferred Charlotte go out to the ring and cut a promo. Why were we doing this backstage? I don't have anything against Michael or Charlotte really, other than the fact that I think Charlotte's rather boring. Speaking of somewhat boring, Madcap Moss carrying Cross Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar and a
Yeah,
four-way to determine the number one contender for the Intercontinental title, apparently for next week on SmackDown. Remember how I mentioned that SmackDown show was loaded? We'll get to that in a minute.
right. And then we end up uh, Madcap Moss going to be going up against Gunther.
That's gonna be a good match.
Gunther could have a good match with him, yeah.
Gunther could have a good match with a steel post. So, you know, let's not give Moss too much credit here. I mean, it's going to be a good match. Imperium's going to get involved. Emma's going to get involved. Everybody and their mother's probably going to get involved. Hell, you know what? Why don't we freaking send Doink the Clown down there and just call it a schmoz?
And Dink.
Doink and Dink and everybody. I don't know why Madcap won. This didn't make me angry. I don't care that much. Mostly because I know whoever won this match was going to lose.
Right. I thought they would probably go with Karrion Kross, but my
Or
prediction
Ray.
was wrong. Yeah.
I mean, Ray would have made sense, but then we get one last Jimmy Uso Paul Heyman segment.
Right.
These guys were all over this show, but that's for the better.
Yes.
So that basically tells them that Roman has a special assignment for the Usos to stay home and
Stay
watch the show.
home. Well, they're going to Canada, correct?
Yeah, one of the Usos can't go to Canada. I can't remember which one.
That's right. So
I think it's
we
Jimmy.
kind of knew ahead of time that they would not be going to Canada as a tag team.
I think it's Jimmy that can't go to Canada. So
Is he the one that's been arrested several times?
I think so.
I know that from what I understand, it's hard as hell to get into Canada if you've got a police record.
It's harder than hell to get into Canada if you have a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Forget a DUI. Anyway, next week on SmackDown, I mentioned the show is loaded, and believe me, it is. We have Drew McIntyre and Sheamus against the Viking Raiders. They better give that match a lot of time because that's going to be
Yes.
fucking brilliant. Then we get Natalya and Shotzi against Ronda and Shayna. That could be really good. I don't think it will be. I think they won't give it any time, but it could be really good. And we also have Gunther against Madcap. That's going to be a good show.
Yes.
And Roman's going to be there next week, and it's the go home show for the Elimination Chamber.
And being that we're going to be in Sami Zayn's hometown, is that not correct?
We will be in Montreal for next Friday, yes.
Yes. So the crowd will be hot for Sami Zayn.
The crowd was hot on all of these shows.
Yes.
There was not a dead crowd this week, other than at the end there when the Guns won the title. But I mean, they weren't dead for the show. They were dead for the fact that they just watched the Acclaimed get their asses beat.
Yeah. They were. It was a kind of a mixture of disbelief and anger.
And
I don't think not anger at the Acclaimed or at the Gun so much as I think anger at how it was booked.
well, all these AEW fans are really smart.
That's right. And they pride themselves on being smart, and they're probably not as smart as they think they are, but they're smart enough to know that that was bullshit.
I mean, we're probably not as smart as we think we are either.
Oh, there ain't no way.
I mean, look at us. We're sitting here on a freaking YouTube channel talking about pro wrestling. Like, we're not as
Yeah.
smart as we think we are. But
Well, the title of the show, we admit that we're marks.
see, you get it.
Exactly.
What was your favorite show of the week?
I would have to go with Raw for one reason, and that is the promo with Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes. It there was good moments and bad moments in all these shows, but the strength of that to me carried that, and I would pick Raw as my favorite.
You know, I'm kind of torn this week. I didn't think there was a bad show this week. I really didn't. I thought Raw was about as close as it got to a bad show. But I'm gonna go with AEW just because the MJF stuff was just so good, and well, let's be honest, everything outside of the main event was great.
Right.
The
Well,
main event,
MJF, his promos are awesome. He really understands the idea that controversy creates cash.
he also understands that he's the world champion and he is in charge for a great deal of what happens in terms of pay-per-view buys. Or that's how it kind of feels.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was your favorite match of the week? Mine was MJF and Takeshita. That was the best match
Yeah,
of the week.
I would say I'd have to either that one or Roosh and Ryan Danielson.
Have you ever noticed that every time we talk about like our favorite matches, it's always like two AEW matches? Because the wrestling on these shows is never bad.
Right.
When
The
was the
booking
last
is
time?
sometimes terrible, but they do have some really incredible matches on that show.
No, but think about it. When was the last time I said that a Dynamite match was like the shits? Like that doesn't happen.
Right.
I give Tony a little bit of credit. He may not know how to book for shit, but he can sure scout talent. I mean, he can find any talent that are really good. Top Flight, AR Fox,
And he's got the money to pay him well too.
exactly. Takeshita, Roosh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like he doesn't have any talent. He does. He's got too much. But I don't know. Overall, three good shows. Raw was a little rough around the edges. But other than that, it was good.
And we're looking forward to Elimination Chamber
Yeah, I
coming
don't
up
know.
this Saturday.
How do we want to do that? Do we want to do two separate shows next week, or do we want to just do Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and Elimination Chamber in one go?
Well, we could have an extra long show and just try to get it all in one go.
I'm going to talk to Damon about that. We're going to see what
All
we're
right.
going to do about that. But
I am flexible.
well, so am I. I don't care what we do. It's kind of up to you. Whatever you want to do, I'm fine with. But we'll figure it out. I'll let you guys know on Twitter at Ben Shrewsbury. And
Yep.
I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting?
Just
Oh
want
yeah, it's Super Bowl Sunday as this is going up. Uh, Honestly, I kind of despise both of these teams, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick the Chiefs.
I would too, just because they're from Kansas City. If nothing else, I'll pick Kansas City over just about any other town.
Well, here's my thing. Philadelphia Eagles fans are obnoxious. And
Well,
you know, I kind of equate it, right? I kind of equate Eagles fans to like the really hardcore WWE fans that are just obnoxious on the internet,
mm-hmm.
or the hardcore AEW fans that refuse to acknowledge WWE is sometimes good.
I'm a casual football fan. My wife is a hardcore football fan. Big fan of the Vikings, so she doesn't have a dog in this fight. But the thing that I think is, you talk about overkill, the game doesn't start until 5:30 Central. The pregame show starts at noon. Somehow they're going to get 5.5 hours of pregame.
Michael
Please.
Strahan is going to be dead by the end of this show. Shit, Terry Bradshaw might die on the air.
Exactly. It's just too much. It's too much.
How are we going to get Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson on TV for 5 hours?
Well, they're but I have a lot of video packages.
And apparently we're getting a Jason Derulo concert, which nobody asked for.
Yep. Well, my least favorite part of the whole thing is the halftime shows.
They're fine, but it's like we talked about with the Royal Rumble. Live music on television just does not equate.
And it's just not my style of music. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't like it.
It's not my style.
If they had a punk rock show, that would be great.
Man,
I like old country, them throwing punk rock, heavy metal.
Can you imagine them throwing like a punk rock band, like a Star Set or something like that out there? Can you imagine if they did that? People would lose their mind. There'd be a bunch of metalheads just at the Super Bowl who don't know anything about football. They would literally just be waiting for halftime.
Just waiting for the music.
Which would go for about 20 minutes, and then they'd be really disappointed.
Right.
Anyway, I'm going to end this. We're going to end this show now. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a little bit shorter than usual this week because not a whole lot happened. I won't lie in terms of news. We didn't have as much news this week.
Right.
I'm sure we're going to have a lot more next week and probably every week after that leading up to WrestleMania, just because right about after Elimination Chamber is when the news cycle really picks up. So, we'll see. We're still kind of monitoring that WWE sales situation. Russ, what are you looking forward to this week? In terms of show, I'm really honestly kind of looking forward to Raw tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't say that very often, but I'm kind of looking forward to Raw tomorrow because we got a loaded Raw show too. Brock's going to be on the show. Bobby's going to be there. I would assume Cody's going to be on the show.
Right. And I'm looking forward to SmackDown in Canada too. I like the reaction of the Canadian fans.
I know we're running out of time and I know we got to end the show, but I do want to talk about, what do you think Cody's going to do at Elimination Chamber? Do you think he's going to do anything, or do you think he's just going to show up and wave at the crowd and kiss a baby or two?
Probably just show up. I don't look for him to get involved, but you never know.
I mean, what if Solo goes to interfere and Cody comes out to counter? But they'd probably have Kevin Owens do that because there's no way they're going to do this show in Montreal and not have Kevin Owens show up.
Right.
So, I don't know. If I'm Cody, I mean, okay, they'll probably make a match for him, Monday or something. He could have a match with like Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Priest is in the chamber. He can't have a match with Damian.
That's right.
He could have a match with Dominic.
That would be short and sweet.
That'd be a disaster kick at a crossroads and it's over.
Right.
Okay, we are actually out of time now. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week on Lock 22. Like, comment, subscribe, connect with me on Twitter, connect with us on Twitter, hashtag 2marks and a spark. Follow me on Twitter at Ben Shrewsbury. We're going to be back here next Sunday. Same old time, same old place, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful week.
Peace. Bye-bye.